Next, we have two-way tables. To use a two-way table, all outcomes must be equally likely. It will only work for two events, and it will not work for more than two events. So the first example I've given is if we were to flip two coins. So here, I've written down the options for the first event, the first coin flip. So we can get a heads here, or we can get a tails here. Then, for the second event, the second coin flip, I've included heads here and tails here. So that row is for the second event. Our probability of getting a heads is 50%, and our probability of getting a tails is 50%, because we know we only have one opportunity to get heads out of two, and one opportunity to get tails out of two. So this meets our first condition, where all outcomes must be equally likely, and it meets our second condition because there's only two events happening, two coins being flipped. We fill out the table in the two-way table by looking to the top and then writing down whatever the event is for that, and then we look to the left and write down the event for that. So in the first box we have HH, because I've looked up and I've seen there's a H, I've looked left and I've seen there's a H, so I looked here, I write down a H, I look here, I write down a H. So that means that that's the probability of getting heads, heads. Then the next one I look here and I have heads, tails, so I look left, I look right, and then I have heads, tails, and so on. So we can see there's four options altogether. Heads, 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 tails, tails, heads, and tails, tails. All of those events are equally likely. There's four total possible outcomes, so each has a probability of 1 out of 4. So it's each one only has one opportunity out of the total 4 available. So that's a probability of 1 out of 4. Now I have another example which is different. So imagine the probability that I score a basketball free throw is always 0.8 or 80%. And my probability of, we want to find out my probability of scoring 2 in a row. Well, I have my table filled out here because my options are to score or to miss. So I could say, well, I'll have a score, I'll have a score, a miss, I'd have a miss and a score, or a miss and a miss. And if we look at that, we might say, okay, well, probability of scoring twice could be 1 over 4. And our probability of missing and then scoring would be 1 over 4, scoring the missing would be 1 over 4, and missing and missing would be 1 over 4. But this is not the case, because we cannot use the two-way table for this. Because I said initially that the probability I score a free throw is 0.8. That means the probability that I miss is 0.2. So a two-way table will not work for an example like this. So we have to say that the probability to the two-way table does not work for this example. And the reason it doesn't work is because my probability of scoring is not the same as my probability of missing. So a two-way table will not work. We'll have to use a different